Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and today we're looking at a new one from Ganzo, but it's not what you expect. Alright, Ganzo has been a copier of other designs inspired by whatever word you would like to use in most of their knives. I don't know about this one, but I happen to have a 750 laying on the desk here, and they generally have their version of the McHenry and Williams lock, and they have a design, handle design and blade design that's reminiscent of one of our classic EDC knives from, Europe or the United States. So it was a surprise to me whenever this little guy popped up on the radar. This little guy is very much like a buck trio. In fact, so much like a buck trio that it would not surprise me if Buck's trio was made in the same factory and just has a different tag on it right here. And I say that because Ganzo has done a pretty darn good job. It's a small knife. We've got, our fingerprint catching bolsters and tag here. But whenever we go to the back, kind of your signature for traditional knives, and as you guys know, I'm not a traditional knife guy, but I know a little bit. Whenever we go back here, everything is smooth. All of our springs and all of our bolsters and everything are relatively smooth. I mean, are they perfect? Is it like picking up a Queen or Canal Street or something like that? Well, no, but impressive for a knife that's selling for around $10. The wood on it, and Ganzo doesn't tell us exactly what wood it is, or at least the listings I found didn't, but it's attractive. The pins are well done. They've been peened in and then shaped down to where they're nice and smooth on both sides. So very well done. I'm rather impressed with the fit and finish on the outside of the knife. I'm rather impressed with how everything mates up. It's just rather well done, especially for a company that we don't expect to see the traditional American style knife out of. And like I said, this is very much like a mini Stockman, or Buck calls it a trio, and other companies call it other things, but considering Buck's trio is made in China, as far as I know, I should check on that. I'll be right back. Yep, just checked. It's made, it says imported, which with Buck that generally means made in China. Now Buck does say that they have 420J2 as blade steel, and we all know that's kind of junky stuff. Well, Ganzo is telling us they have 4116 blade steel. Did a little look up on that, and it's a reasonable blade steel that's used quite often in this style of knife. And anyhow, getting a look at the knife, we have a classic clip blade, and it's pretty well done. I've sharpened it up some, and I sharpened it kind of more traditional than I normally sharpen things. I only took it up to about 1500 grit, and I really wasn't trying to get a mirror out of it. But still, the steel cleaned up really well and polished off rather nicely. And it is part of their Firebird line. And I'm not sure what Ganzo is doing with the Firebird stuff, but it seems like anything that does say Firebird on the blade is better put together than some of their previous knives. So anyhow, we've got our clip blade, very nicely done. It's got, feels like a nice flat grind there, and I lied to you, it is a slight hollow grind. And then I really don't know the different blade names. I should do the lookup on that kind of stuff before we do these videos, but I don't know that it's all that important. It's their standard blades. Maybe pin, I believe, is the name for this one. And it's, I believe, a flat grind. It's really hard to tell. If it's hollow, it's very, very slight. But well done, a little thicker than I would like for that grind to be. You can see I did everything at 18 degrees, and you can see how thick that bevel came out. But it still cuts and cuts well. And then we have our sheep's foot blade, and it's a little bit thinner, but not much. We still get a rather wide bevel, a little wider than I'd like, but like I said, it still cuts pretty darn well. You know, cutting with it, not a problem after it's sharpened up. And even the stock edge that Ganzo gave us wasn't bad at all. You know, if we're going to show a traditional knife, though, I just wanted it to look a little prettier and cut a little better. But anyhow, cuts extremely well, especially once it's been touched up just a little bit. And the fit and finish is just, really, it's fabulous, guys. So for somewhere between $10 and $15, Ganzo is bringing you a winner if you're looking for that traditional pocket knife to carry every day, something to beat on, something to have just that reliable partner that you don't have to spend a lot of money for. And I'll put it to you this way. If Buck is having Ganzo make their knives, or any other company for that matter is having Ganzo make their traditional knives, anytime you see where it says made overseas or origin imported or whatever, why are we paying Buck an extra 20 or 30 bucks for this knife, or any other company, Charade, whatever? Why are we paying those companies an extra 20 or 30 bucks for this knife? Now, I'm not saying sending money to China and sending it straight to Ganzo is the greatest thing in the world. I have my personal opinions on that, and they're not the same as Rob's, but anyhow, I would rather take the money and put it towards something else that might help a company instead of continuing to encourage our U.S.-based knife makers to send their business overseas. I've looked at a lot of these traditional knives, and, you know, I would like to have one or two, but I'm going to end up having to buy it from Queen or Canal Street or some of these others. I can't think of all the names right now, because I'm not going to purchase a traditional American pocket knife from a company that is outsourcing the production of those knives like Buck does to some unknown place overseas. All they say is imported, or some of the others that say imported from China. If I'm going to do that, it might as well say Ganzo on it. You know, because Ganzo's been doing some good things. I don't think it's a bad thing to have a Ganzo knife in your pocket. So anyhow, I'm getting off subject here. Ganzo's little traditional pocket knife is pretty darn nice. One thing to note before we hang it up, it is not a 90-degree position stop knife. I don't know what those are called. We'd have to ask Rob on that. But many of them have a kind of a detent at 90 degrees. This one does not. You only have a detent until you get it locked. And here we go. Let's take our clip blade. We've got a pretty good snap shut. That spring is under some pretty good tension there. Should hold the knife open rather well. And whenever we go to close it, it's got a good snap shut. And that same for all the blades. So Ganzo has done a pretty darn good job here. So is it worth its $11? I think so. Are some of the others out there that have different names on them that you may recognize worth their 30 or 40 bucks? Nope, not in the slightest. So you make your own decisions, and you can fuss at me down in the comments, but this has been Ganzo's little traditional folder, very similar to the Buck Trio or a Stockman, and it's a pretty good one for what you're spending, guys. And I really appreciate you stopping by and talking knives with me for a couple minutes. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.